Hello there, I'm Lloyd Evans. Welcome to the bunker. As you can see, I am joined by Dijana, my wife, for this special video that's been requested by my patrons. They would like me to do a series of quick-fire responses to arguments often made by Jehovah's Witnesses and Jehovah's Witness apologists, and to make this as authentic as possible so that I'm not preparing my answers, because often in these situations you're caught on the hop. It's one of these things where you have to respond in the moment. So to try and make it as authentic as possible, I have asked Dijana to compile a list of five... Sorry, I'm not looking. A list of 5 such arguments or statements that Jehovah's Witnesses would make, and I'm going to try to answer them.
To my defense, I had only 15 minutes to come up with some things, so it might not be the best, but it's to start off conversation and then people can chip in.
Yeah, the idea is that we'll do 5 now, and if anyone can think of any additional comments or statements that Jehovah's Witnesses would commonly make, put them in the comments below. Okay, proceed.
So when you point out to wrongdoing in organization, the witness says, well, I don't serve for people or to people, I serve to Jehovah. So I don't care what people do, they're just individuals.
That's a very convenient way of excusing the fact that this is very much a human organization that is run by humans. And if you disagree with that particular leadership, the governing body, they will ruin your life. They'll arrange for your family to be estranged from you. So it's very much individuals who are dictating what people should believe and how things should be done. So you can't just say, oh, it's not about people, when we can prove that people are involved every time we turn on JW Broadcasting. Go on, devil's advocate.
Which brings me to a second point is, well, Jehovah sees everything and he'll take care of it in due time. So we just need to be faithful until he does and believe that he knows what's happening. And one day everything will be repaired.
Would that response satisfy you if you were doing the door-to-door preaching and a Catholic answered the door and you pointed out the many scandals in the history of the Catholic Church and popes assassinating other popes and the child abuse in the Catholic Church, and they said, yes, well, in due time, God will correct all of these things. It's just a matter of staying faithful. Would that satisfy you if a Catholic said that to you? You know?
It wouldn't satisfy me, so I need to be a witness and pretend.
Witnesses are obviously in the business of trying to recruit people from other groups. So imagine someone from another group use that as an excuse for staying in their religion. Would it satisfy you then? That would be my response.
Yeah, but I'm just trying to think the way witnesses I speak with would come back from that, and they would probably say, yes, but Jehovah's Witnesses have done nothing as scandalous as kill other people for rulership. So they cannot be compared to Catholics because of blah, blah, blah history of
to our knowledge,
violence.
To our knowledge, no one's been killed. Well, people have been killed through the blood doctrine.
But that says in the Bible.
However, well, that's a whole other issue.
Well, that's how
I'm trying to formulate my answers as you're talking to me. Completely you completely interrupted my train of thought.
That's how witnesses work. That's literally my conversation with who.
Can you repeat the previous objection before you skipped on to blood? Because my brain's just completely been...
Yeah, the witnesses cannot be compared to Catholics because there has not been history of gross misconduct.
That was going to be my response. How do you know what the history is when you're literally prohibited from doing objective research into the criticisms of the organisation? So in the case of the Catholics...
No, we're encouraged to do research.
There are any number of books that objectively lay out the history, warts and all, of the Catholic Church, including severe criticism, so that we know about some of these terrible things that happened with popes being assassinated and that kind of thing. You know, where's the equivalent in Jehovah's Witness literature that spells things out objectively, warts and all, that Jehovah's Witnesses can consult?
If there was something, it would be written in the literature, because
would it?
Witnesses are so transparent.
Would it be written in the literature?
When David had his misconduct, he was honest about it, and he wrote all his wrongdoings. It was written in Bible, all his wrongdoings. So same principle goes for witnesses. When they've done a mistake, they will come back and say, we've done wrong things, and that's why you have new light. Things are always moving. The chariot, it's always, we need to go with the time.
Has the Jehovah's Witness religion admitted to making mistakes in the past?
I'm sure there is some article somewhere if they have.
No, just think about the question. Have they admitted to being imperfect and making mistakes in the literature?
Yeah, I remember so many personal accounts where they said I was wrong in doing that and that.
She's really in the role now. So my question would be, if they have admitted to being imperfect and making mistakes, what specific mistakes have they actually admitted to? Because it's one thing for me to say, oh, you know what, in our marriage, Dijana, I've made lots of mistakes. But if I can't give you any examples and I'm not willing to own up to any examples, that's a meaningless comment, isn't it?
Well, if there are evidence, there should be something written. But if there is not evidence, probably that's why.
Unless it's all being covered up.
Well, that is projecting.
Now, I love the way you're throwing yourself into the role. You've clearly had a lot of conversations with your mother. So, are we up to number 3 yet?
Yeah. Okay. So if you would say do research, and you would come to a point where they are like opening up a bit, but they need to come back at you with something, the comeback would be, but I'm so scared, as Satan is so powerful that he seduced the perfect man. Who am I as his target? So if I go online, how am I to know that he's not gonna seduce me with content that I might come across and make me believe something that is not true?
I would ask, would it be fair to say that you're being seduced or you're being exploited or manipulated if you're being told something that isn't true? To which there would hopefully be a yes or no answer, and it would probably be yes, that would be fair. And I would then say, okay, so if we're agreeing that to be seduced or exploited, you would need to be given some information that isn't true, how about establishing categorically and objectively whether a claim made against the organisation is true or not? Because in some cases, it will be just word of mouth. It will be just, oh, he said this or she said that. But in other cases, oh, here's a document that proves it. And if there's a document that proves it, then we know that it's true, or we have a reasonable basis for believing that it's true. So I would also then say, use the win-win scenario. And I would say, if you embark on this process of doing objective research, it's a win-win, because either you strengthen your faith because you realize, hey, I really do have the truth. and this really is God's organization, and it's so therefore it's a win. Or you find out that you are being manipulated and lied to, in which case it's a win again because you get to do something about it. That would be my answer.
I'm dying to do devil's advocate.
Go on.
But there is no objective because the research you would need to do is on Satan's platform.
So then we need to find out whether it really is Satan's platform by sampling what's being said to find out whether it's true or not. And you only all you need to do is find one lie, don't you? If you go on a website and it makes a claim and you investigate that claim, let's say a website says, once the organization taught this, and I can prove it because here is the reference in the literature. So if you go to that literature and you read in the, oh, wow, they really did say that, then you can prove it. If you go to the literature and it doesn't say that, or they've twisted the words, let's say they've misquoted, gosh, imagine misquoting in support of your arguments. If they've misquoted what the literature says, then we can say this website isn't credible. I have a reasonable basis for ignoring pretty much everything else it says because it's already trying to mislead me on the very first thing I've researched.
Okay, I give you that. This brings me to number 4. What if they would say, I'm scared to do anything to sadden Jehovah or bring reproach to his name, so I don't want to do any research that could lead me to apostates. I don't want to sadden him in that way.
Okay. I would say, well, assuming Jehovah to be true, Jehovah to exist, and, you know...
Of course he does.
Accepting that you're going to want to make God happy, doesn't the Bible say that God is a God of truth? So if God is a God of truth, it would actually sadden him for you to believe things that aren't true. So he's never going to be unhappy with you, or he's never going to punish you if he is a God of truth and a God of love, simply for establishing fact. And, you know, however unpleasant those facts may be, because there are precedents in the Bible for people assuming authority in God's name and becoming corrupt. So how were people under, let's say, a corrupt king in Judah, how were they to find out whether God was happy or sad with that particular king if they didn't objectively analyze what that king was doing? So I would try and separate this idea of Jehovah and the organization being one and the same thing, and think, well, if I'm really interested in what Jehovah wants and in what's making Jehovah happy or sad, I need to be honest about what he's asking me to do and how this organization is being run that claims to have his blessing.
Which leads me nicely into point 5. If I hear everything you're saying, but I believe that this is Jehovah's organization. And in fact, I believe that those who disagree with what's written with organization have ego problem. So that's why they don't want to listen to what brothers are saying through literature. They're making up their own versions of things because they want to be right, because they are egomaniacs.
So this is where you would, I think, do a bit of street epistemology. It's really interesting that you've just said, I believe this is Jehovah's organization. So what's brought you to that conclusion?
Well, years of research, reading all the publications and prophecies coming true and whatnot.
Do you think it might have anything to do with the fact that you were raised as a Jehovah's Witness?
Yeah, but there are so many smart people who are not raised, who are lawyers, and then they become witnesses.
Yeah, they definitely need lawyers. I would say again, try to look at this from a broader perspective and think about how what you're saying could be said by almost anyone in almost any religion. Anyone who's raised in a religion is going to believe that theirs is the true religion. If we're going to...
Except ours is.
If yeah, we've just happened to have won the lottery of birth, and we just happen to have fallen into... by divine providence, the one true religion on the planet.
Some have won it by birth, and some have really researched and came to a conclusion that it's right religion.
I would probably again say, when you're doing the preaching work, and I know it's harder to imagine when we're in the middle of the pandemic, but when you're going in the door-to-door preaching and you're encountering someone who opens the door and they're from a different religious group, and they say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I don't want to listen to what you have to say. I believe I have the truth." Are you just going to think, well, that they must have the truth, so, I'd best move on? Or are you going to think they have the truth, but actually they're wrong. They just don't want to look at the evidence. So what you're actually doing when you make an assertion without exposing it to objective analysis is you're just repeating the behavior that you find frustrating in people of other religions.
But you see, with their religions, it's just so easy to see what they're wrong with. They have, they celebrate pagan holidays, and they do immoral things, and they go to war and stuff like that.
Are you banned from looking at material that criticizes other religions?
No.
Are you banned from looking at material that criticizes your religion?
No.
You're not?
No, we are choosing not to.
I have a recording by David Splain that says otherwise.
Well, I haven't heard it. Okay. I haven't heard it.
But hopefully, I've given a few answers there. I think it's worthwhile, using that line as well of, would you find this a satisfying argument if someone from another religion made this to you when you were preaching to them?
I think if they were really honest, they would stop there and think about it. But I'm just trying to play a witness who is just not hearing any arguments. They're just finding a way to flip things around, and that's, I think, problem speaking to witnesses, that they're not completely engaging in conversation. They're just trying to find comebacks.
Yeah.
But I think if you are talking to somebody who is genuinely interested to know, they would stop at these points and think, yeah, actually, that makes sense.
This has actually worked better than I expected, because you're totally channeling your mother when you're doing this. And
bleep that out.
And so yeah, this has worked better than I expected. And what I would really like, if it's possible, is if you can, in the comments to this video, select 5 more that people will suggest, having seen this.
Yeah.
And you present those to me in part 2. Is that okay?
Yeah, although I promise people that I will not be on your channel anymore.
Yeah, but you've done such a good job.
Right. You know what? This was fun. Thank you, by the way. This was fun for me because I could be frustrating for somebody else.
Seriously, the more you play devil's advocate, the better. Because that's how it goes in real life. It needs to be this is why I didn't want to see the questions in advance. I wanted it to be as realistic as possible, because sometimes, even though you know the answers, all it takes is for it to be phrased a certain way and you're completely thrown off momentarily. So it's actually nice for me to be put in this kind of situation where it's not scripted, and I do get to, that's an interesting way of putting it. So,
and I was thinking, these are not even some kind of deep arguments. These are just surface comeback statements, aren't they?
Yeah.
But they really spark conversation, and you can go in depth if you are just prepared for those kinds of silly comebacks.
Indeed. So yes, viewers, I hope you have found this video helpful. Look out for part 2 and please do drop your suggestions in the comments below. But that's all we have time for. Don't forget to subscribe to the Lloyd Evans channel for more such videos. And as always,
thank you for watching.